hope you're all having a good week. It is so hot right now, but I don't mind. I love summer. I love all of the seasons in their own different ways, but I am such a warm weather person. I just feel, I don't know, free, happy. I love the heat. I love the warmth. Thank you so much for the lovely feedback in my last video and the lovely comments. I genuinely was just so happy, and so, I don't know, it just felt really nice. Like I mentioned in my last video, I get in my head so easily. Queen of overthinking. There's like one thing that I don't like about a video that I filmed, I just won't upload it. It's just so easy for me to be like, nope, just need to get over that, don't I? Because I really do enjoy posting videos. It's just really nice to just upload something and push past that, and to have such lovely comments, because I really didn't know if that video was even going to get like one view. Do you know what I mean? Like maybe my mum would click on it if she saw that I'd uploaded a YouTube video. But it was so nice to just hear from you all and hear about what's been new in your lives recently. Yeah, really, really lovely, and it meant a lot to me. So thank you. I'm going to London today, and I need to drop Maddie off at Matt's sister's because Matt's sister is going to have her today and Matt's mum's going to have her tonight. And I hate this. I hate leaving her. Out of the two of us, I am the one with the separation anxiety. It's a problem. I've always been like this, but I feel like it's got worse since she was actually poorly recently. Only like within the last 2 months, and we genuinely thought we were going to lose her. We had to drive to Birmingham urgently, and she was admitted as an emergency to this specialist vets with internal bleeding, and they thought that she had cancer. It was just, we literally stayed in a hotel for 2 nights because she just is everything to us, everything. And I hate leaving her. And I feel like, especially since then, it's got worse. But I just have these irrational, and I know they're irrational, but I just have these irrational thoughts that she's going to get out, she's going to get run over, like something bad, she's going to choke on something and I won't be there to see it and like stop it. And I just think, Gemma, oh Maddie, I'm going to miss you. It's only one night. She's like, get a grip, woman. Dropped her off, and now I've got about 20-25 minutes just to like hoover, put the dishwasher on, make a sandwich for the train, and pack my bag. I'm so sweaty, and I've also been rained on, and the mixture of sweat and rain has really, it's really done something to my hair. Matt is in the lobby on a meeting on Zoom, and I couldn't give him his key card because the system is down. So the person on reception had to bring me up to my room and let me in. And now I'm going to quickly shower, and hopefully when Matt comes up I'll be out of the shower and I can let him in, because otherwise he'll be stuck, he'll be trapped. But we're staying at the Citizen M at Bankside, and we've stayed here before, and honestly these beds are so comfortable. The room is like a little pod, but it's really compact. Like this is the entire room. And the bathroom is like here in this little pod. So it smells so good. It always smells so nice, and it's really clean. So, and in London it's about the same price as a travel lodge, to be honest. It just feels a bit nicer. I say I am dehydrated, I'm dehydrated. We got back from London last night. We had a really good time, but I made such a big error. I wore some Doc Martens sandals. I've worn them walking for hours, honestly, and I thought they were broken in. I thought they were comfortable. They were also the only shoes that I'd taken with me, so the next day I had to put the same sandals back on, and my feet were cut up like they'd been to the butcher's. So trying to get my foot, my trotter, into these sandals, it was just impossible. I did it and I walked around for a bit, and then I just had to admit defeat, and I had to go and buy a pair of Vans. I'd actually been wanting to buy a pair of Vans slip-ons because they're my favourite shoe. They're so comfortable. It's like the same shoes that I wore as an emo teenager I'm still wearing now as an emo in their 30s. Yeah, I'd been after some pink ones and I thought, you know what, let's just go and get them. Let's do it. And I put them on. Honestly, still not the most comfortable because the damage had been done. The damage was done. But we still had a nice time. We had some good food in Brixton. And we got back quite late last night. And I just feel so dry. I came back, I looked at myself in the mirror and I saw wrinkles that I didn't have before. Which, you know, at my big age, sometimes you do wake up one morning and there's a wrinkle there that you didn't even see coming. However, I think I'm dehydrated. I just think I didn't drink enough water. I was drinking alcohol, which I do drink occasionally, but I'm not like a big drinker. So I think my body was just like, what are you doing, woman? I did it to myself. So now I'm hydrated. Matt's just gone to the shop to get us stuff to make breakfast tacos because we have no food in the house. It's Saturday. He's been in London all week. I went to meet him on Thursday. So I've just been buying bits and bobs here and there. But yeah, he's just gone to get stuff to make breakfast tacos. I'm going to go and fill a cup with like the iciest water and just try and hydrate myself inside and out. I feel like a prune. I've got this like silicone thing that I bought to actually put over serums, you know, so you can kind of like make your own sheet masks. But it's also good when you have stuff to do and you want to just like walk around with a sheet mask on because it kind of keeps it in place. But is this not the most terrifying thing you've ever seen? You don't need to lie to me. Horrifying. This is my favourite like hydrating moisturiser for your body. Honestly, I love it so much. And I like the hand one. I sound so weird in this mask. Maddie's not impressed that she's back home, honestly. She went to stay with Matt's mum. Do you go to your nana? Yes, she won't even talk to me. She can't even look at me because we left her. But she went to Matt's mum's, and when we went to pick her up last night, she didn't want to come home. Excuse me. Would you like your breakfast? Got some chicken? Maddie? Oh, you do know your name. Unimpressed. In this area of the garden where the greenhouse is, we've also got fruit trees. So we've got a plum tree, we've got an apple tree, and we've got a cherry tree. So this is a cherry tree. And last year was like our first year where we could eat the cherries from the tree. And we got maybe 4 or 5 cherries because the birds just eat them all. So we needed to try and protect them in some way from the birds. And what we decided to do was get little organza gift bags. I ordered them online and we literally painstakingly put them over every cherry as they started to grow. We put these bags on. I had to literally climb up there. And you know what? It worked. It really worked. Ones that were a little bit bruised or a little bit too soft. And I actually had some cherries in the fridge as well that just needed to be used up, that had also gone a little bit soft. We're going to eat ours tonight for dessert because we're very excited about them. But I'm going to put these with some sugar and some lemon. I'm going to make jam tomorrow from them, but I'm going to let them sit overnight and like start the process. I've never made cherry jam before, so it should be good. Just leave that there. We've got these potatoes that just grew. I didn't plant them. I think there was some failed seed potatoes still in it from last year. We're going to just see if there's anything in there. I've literally not done anything to this, so it'll be interesting. Considering I didn't plant these, I never watered them. They've just, this is a product of neglect. That's like a pack of potatoes from the shop. So, quite pleased with that. Good morning. It's a lot more liquidy this morning, and I'm going to take these lemons out in a bit, but I'll just leave them in for a bit more pectin. And I'm currently sterilising my jars, ready to put in when it's done. There's no way I'll get 4 jars, but I like to do a variety, so I've got options of like, do I need 1 big one and 2 little, just 2 little, 2, I don't know. I've got options. Hair is still drying because there's no way I'm sitting with a hairdryer today. But what I love about making jam is like this feeling of summer and how light and bright and fruity everything is when it's like cold and horrible later on in the year. You can like pull out the jam and you can get a bit of that feeling back. I made my jam. I made one jar and then a little jar for my mum and dad. They're coming to house and dog sit soon. So I'm gonna leave a little jar for them. It's so lovely today, but I need to mow the lawn and then I think we're gonna have a barbecue. Why not? These are cucumbers and I've never grown them before, but they're like lemon shaped. Well, it looks like a yellow tomato to be honest. But yeah, this is the first one. I saw the plant at my local garden centre and I thought, you're coming home with me. I've tried it with tahine, but the winner is this bacon salt, which doesn't have any bacon in it, but oh, it's so good. Hello. Oh, it's wobbling. I got this travel tripod on Amazon because I am traveling in the next few weeks and I wanted to just see if there was one of those really easy, quick tripods that you could just whip up that fold down really small. And it is really good. It's more suited to phones, I think, because my camera's a little bit heavy. I thought I would maybe bring back an old school element of videos that I used to post and have a little book chat with you, because I have really got back into reading. I've always been a really big reader. When I was a kid, I remember like the library was my favourite place, and I read pretty much every book in the children's section of the library, and I was so excited when I got to go into the adult section. I've always been a quick reader and just loved immersing myself. I've noticed over the past few years I was really struggling to read. I would buy books constantly and I would never read them, and it would become a bit of a joke between me and Matt. I'd be like, oh, you know, you're buying all these books that you never read. But it did actually upset me a lot, and I would laugh about it, I would joke about it, but I didn't really understand why I was struggling to read until I got diagnosed with ADHD, and it all made a lot of sense. And I think for a few years I totally burnt out, and leading up to that point, like I was approaching ADHD, just total burnout, and I think my brain was just like, this is not a priority, like we need to try and keep on track, and reading was just one of those things that had to go. Finding out that I had ADHD, I mentioned in my last video, was like such a big thing, and a few of you have asked me to expand on it, and I'll talk about that maybe more in a future video because I don't want to get distracted, ironically. At the moment, I just want to share what I'm comfortable with and hope you understand. Obviously, finding out what the reason was really big, but I had to be really patient with myself. So I think I was diagnosed in 2021, and honestly, it took me up until January of this year to properly get back into reading. I feel like, and again, maybe in time I'll share more about this, but I had to really strip back every area of my life and reevaluate my relationship with it. Everything from food, social media, exercise, hobbies, just interpersonal relationships, everything I had to completely like dismantle and rebuild in a way that worked for me and worked for my brain, because I finally understood, okay, my brain works differently and I need to approach things in a different way. I don't know what clicked, honestly, and it's not like I hadn't read anything, but just the volume at which I was reading before was just, you know, it was, you couldn't compare it. But in January, I went to see my parents for my dad's birthday, and I bought a book at the airport and I read it on the plane, and it was what's like 4.5 hour flight, and I just read it cover to cover, and instantly I just felt like, oh my god, I can read again. Oh my god, it was such a big thing for me, and it was such an emotional thing because it's so hard to explain to someone, like, it's just a book, but reading was something about me. Like, all of these things in our life, things that you're interested in, hobbies, they're all things that make you you. And when you've been struggling to do something that kind of makes you you, it's such a weird feeling, and to get that back was just so lovely, so lovely. So I set myself a challenge on Goodreads. A few of you added me on Goodreads from my last video. It's linked below. And so far this year I've read 28 books. I set myself a challenge of 50. I initially set a challenge of 30, and then I was like, I'm zooming through these books, and some of them have been novellas, some of them have been shorter stories, but I've read 28 books. And if you'd said that to me when I was a kid, I'd be like, yeah, of course you've read 28 books, you love reading. But I can't even tell you that for the past few years, it felt impossible. I've got my Goodreads in front of me, and I thought, I'm not going to go through all of the books that I've read, but I thought I would go through some of them, because I actually read the latest book in this series on the train back from London, and there were just tears rolling down my face on the train. Matt was just laughing at me because he's seen me go through all these books, and he's just very amused, honestly, at this point. I don't have them all in front of me because a lot of these I got from the library. I love the library. I've either got them from the library or I've read them on my Kindle, which is, it needs charging. But this Kindle is so old. I don't even know how old this is. It's really, really old. It's one of the ones with the buttons on the side, but listen, it still works. Matt has one of the ones that, the Paperwhite, I got him that for his birthday last year. I think I got that for his birthday. But I have to wear I have to wear one of those lights that goes around your neck because this doesn't light up. But I'm not ready to let go. So the book that made me cry on the train was Before We Say Goodbye, which is the latest in the tales from what was the first one that I read? Before the Coffee Gets Cold. So this Before the Coffee Gets Cold, Tales from the Cafe, Before Your Memory Fades, and Before We Say Goodbye. And these books, let me tell you, I have always been a fan of magic realism, but I would say a lot of the magic realism that I'd read so far in my life had mostly been Latin American magic realism. Over the last couple of years, but especially this year, I've really been into a lot of East Asian literature and a lot of East Asian magic realism. The writing styles are just very different, I think, but I love them both in different ways. So back to the series that made me cry, because I'm getting off topic. This is a series of books by Toshikazu Kawaguchi, and if I'm right, I think I remember reading that he was a playwright before he was an author, and I can definitely see a lot of that in these books. A lot of it reads like stage direction. I think that might put some people off. It really doesn't put me off. I did theatre studies when I was at college, and I read a lot of plays, and so I feel like even though that's not primarily what I read now, I am kind of like, there's a part of my brain that used to read plays and doesn't mind that kind of format, but I can see how it might be a little bit disjointed for people who are used to more of a novel. And this is a novel. It's not written like a play, but I can just feel that in the way that it's written, that's the world that he comes from. Premise of this book series is that there is a cafe in Tokyo in a little back alley, and you can go there and you can travel back in time. When someone vacates this one particular seat, you can sit down with a cup of coffee and you can travel, but you can only travel to that coffee shop. Like, you can't leave the coffee shop. Say, for example, I had been to this coffee shop with Matt multiple times throughout our lives, and I wanted to go back to one of those times. I could do that, or I could travel to the future, but again, it would have to be in that coffee shop. The stories in this series just gutted me. One of the stories that I read on the train, which is why I was sobbing, is someone had travelled back to spend like a few more minutes with their dog who had passed away, and they just wanted to see them one last time. Each book has multiple short segments in it of different people that are time traveling in the cafe and why they want to time travel. So you get multiple stories, multiple viewpoints in one book, as well as those individual stories of why people want to time travel. You also have the people that work in the coffee shop and the regulars of the coffee shop, and sometimes they have been back or they've got stories and their lives progress, and it's just they've all emotionally destroyed me. What else have I read this year that's been really good? I've really got into Clare Keegan, and Clare Keegan has slowly become one of my favourite authors. I first read one of her short stories, which was So Late in the Day, and I literally read it in the bath, the whole thing. It's really short, but I read that in the bath and I just thought, oh my God, sometimes you just click with someone's voice. And Clare Keegan, if she wrote the phone book, I would read it. I love her writing style. And she, I think, predominantly writes about Ireland and like Irish stories, and I've really enjoyed everything. I've read So Late in the Day, I've read Walk the Blue Fields and Small Things Like These, and I just purchased another one of her books recently, so I'm slowly making my way through everything that Clare Keegan has ever written, and I can't sing her praises highly enough. Another person who I've just clicked with their voice, and I've only read one book so far, is Emily Austen. I read Everyone in This Room Will Someday Be Dead. I think she's a Canadian author. She definitely lives in Canada because I follow her on TikTok now. It's about someone who accidentally becomes a receptionist at a Catholic church, and is just obsessed with the person that did the job before her passed away, and she's obsessed with trying to uncover what happened to them and how they died. It's not just about that though, it's about everything that's going on in her life as well, and she just kind of is stumbling through life, and I feel like things are just happening to her and at her, and until she finally takes control of her life. But that is a really, really great book. Two other books that I've read in recent months that have really, really stuck with me. One of them is Assembly by Natasha Brown, and it honestly, this book will stay with me for a very long time. It was beautifully written, and I really liked, especially towards the end, it really played with the form on the actual visual form on the page, and I really like that, because you tend to see that more in poetry, and it's not that I don't like poetry, but I'm just not really I'm more of a novel person than poetry. But I enjoyed the visual form being different. Natasha Brown is a Black British woman, and she's worked in financial services. It is a work of fiction, but it definitely incorporates a lot of her perspective on that industry. I don't know how much of it is from her lived experience, but I mean, it's definitely informed by what she knows about the industry and her experience growing up as a Black British woman who, came of age in the credit crunch, a hostile environment, Windrush. It really talks about race and class in a very British way. It's from a very British perspective. And I think she's already in the process of writing another book that I just can't wait to read. But I just randomly picked that up at the library. I picked it up, I saw the cover, read the blurb, thought I'll give it a go, and it ended up being one of my favourite books that I've read this year. So there's a real rhythm to this book and a real sense of urgency and stress, and you can feel the tension as the book goes on, and it's just executed beautifully. It's her first novel, and when I read that, I was just in shock because it's so well constructed. It's perfect to me, at least. And yeah, a lot of the perspectives have really stuck with me. Another novel that I read recently is called Nightcrawling, and this again is a debut novel by Layla Motley. I'm pretty sure she wrote this when she was 17, and again, do you ever read something like that and you just think, what have I achieved in my life? Because this was an incredible book. It's set in East Oakland. Two very different settings, but again, another book that doesn't shy away from talking about race and talking about social structures. It's about a young girl who's lost parents to the prison system. It lives in a community that's suffering a lot with addiction. With it being in Oakland, there's this backdrop of the tech industry and the parallel lives that a lot of people in Oakland live, the divide between the ultra wealthy and the communities that have been there for a long time and who are being pushed out. It's about a young girl that ends up in the world of sex work, although can you say that she's a sex worker because she's so young and there's an imbalance of power, and it happens to her. That story again is one that's just stuck with me, and I can't wait to see what else Layla Motley does. But yeah, those are just some of the books that I've read recently. I'm going to leave it there because I've been jabbering on. But yeah, I'll link my Goodreads below.